Here we are with the Expanders, John Butcher, John Asher. So good to see you guys. How you doing tonight?
We're good. We're good, Reid. Not too bad. Not too bad. And yourself?
Not too bad, man. I miss you guys. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much for being here and getting together to talk about Toots Hibbert. This is a conversation that actually began in early August, I think, with the intention of shining a light on the legacy of Toots to help educate our audiences about the history of reggae music and the legends who paved the way for all of us, oftentimes not being fairly compensated or appreciated along the way. Toots, of course, was one of the exceptions. He achieved worldwide recognition from artists like the Rolling Stones and The Clash and Willie Nelson and Bonnie Raitt. But even still, music lovers of his own generation sometimes didn't know who he was or just how much he had an impact on their lives. Songs like Bam Bam, won the first ever Jamaican independent songwriting competition, I think in 1966. And, it was later remade by Sister Nancy and sampled by Jay-Z and used in a Reebok commercial. And, so many people don't even realize that Toots wrote that originally, and it turned into a life of its own. And, Pressure Drop, like The Clash covered that tune in like 79 or 80. And there are probably a lot of Clash fans today who still don't know that that's not an original Clash tune. That was written by Toots Hibbert in Jamaica, in the late 60s or 70s. And, so the intention of this bigger project, which we're calling Center Stage with Reggae Icons, is to highlight those artists like Toots who paved the way for all of us. Ideally, do it while they're still alive and work in coordination with them to tell their history in their own words and through the words of artists who have followed in their footsteps, like the Expanders, all in service of those artists that we admire, with the goal of building bridges between newer artists and older artists. So the videos we're talking about today, you guys recorded 2 Toots covers about a month and a half ago, and we were, really wanting to release these in a way that Toots could appreciate them and comment on them and celebrate them with us. And right when we were getting started, Toots went into the hospital on August 27th with flu-like symptoms, and he never came out. And the heaviness of that and the irony that we were trying so hard to honor him while he was still alive, and we lost him right when we began, is something that weighs really heavily on me, and I know it weighs heavily on you guys too. So although our original intention is not playing out the way we hoped, nonetheless, we want to share these songs, share our thoughts and our inspirations that we owe to Toots. And I just want to thank you guys so much for being here and being part of this. So thank you guys.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for reaching out to us that we could actually participate in this. It's such an honor.
Yeah. Likewise.
It was a good move that Rootfire, you guys set out to do this before he passed. That was a beautiful sentiment to me. A lot of times it's everyone comes running once they pass away to clout chase and get on that game, and you guys specifically reached out to us to do something while he was still alive, and that rings real heavy with me.
Thank you.
I appreciated that you guys did that.
Thank you. Well, it's something that we intend to continue doing for the foreseeable future, and hopefully we can have a little better luck on that specific front. But
you guys nailed it.
I'm sorry.
I think you guys nailed it. It's you know, show them love and respect while they're here to receive it, you know.
Thank you.
And you set out with that intention, so let's continue on with that intention.
Yeah, respect, man. Thank you. You know, so the Expanders are one of the bands that really got me personally interested in old school Jamaican music, you know, when we first met many years ago. And I've often imagined that you guys could probably teach master classes on this stuff just because you're such devoted students of the music yourselves. So, you know, today we're going to share 2 different recordings that you made of Toots Hibbert's songs. The first one is called Love Is Gonna Let Me Down. And if one of you guys would like to tell us a little bit why you chose this tune, we'll do that. We'll run the tune, and then we'll come back and talk about it a little bit more.
All right. Well, this actually was a fun thing to do. We listened, well, Asher and I listened to most of the Toots catalog together while at work, and this was one of the first tunes that stood out to both of us. One, it's not, you know, the typical like 54, 46. It's not, you know, the ones you would normally hear by Toots, right? It's kind of a gospel-y reggae tune. And that's one of the things that initially struck me when I first heard Toots. Was I was a huge gospel music fan. One, because when you hear real gospel music, like, you believe them. They sing and you believe and you get the chills and they really get your attention. And this song, Toots touches on that gospel stuff, and it's just magnetic. And then, you know, it drops into the little reggae section or rocksteady section, however you want to describe that part. But the chorus is catchy. And again, I felt it was a very powerful song and fitting for the times right now. It's, you know, life is really intense and crazy, and it's testing a lot of people's just mental strength right now. And part of that test is with love. You know, there's a lot of crazy things, a lot of hate. There's a lot of really dark things happening in the world. And a lot of people think they have it one way, think they're getting love and respect, and it's dropping them. You know what I mean? It's turning on people. And this song, the message is about, you know, that stuff's not going to get to you, but love will let you down sometimes. Life will let you down. And it's the bounce back. And I think Toots really delivered a great message on this. And I hope we captured it with the same intensity and zeal that he recorded it with initially. I think we got really close.
I do too. Well, let's run the tune.
Every time I see your face,
All right. So that was Love Is Gonna Let Me Down, written by Toots and the Maytals, performed by the Expanders. Awesome, guys. Thank you. So I was realizing earlier that this song is actually listed as Love Is Gonna Let Me Down in some places and Love's Gonna Walk Out on Me in other places. And it kind of blows my mind and made me think about how, like, man, it's just one of these examples about how the music has evolved and taken a life of its own. And, you know, it's written one way here and one way there. And God knows who typed that up before it got sent out. I'm wondering, you know, when's the first time you heard that song? Asher, it sounds like you were smiling when I said that. What's your first memory of that song?
Actually, I don't have any old memories of it. I've heard it before, but really rediscovered it when Butcher and I were going through his discography, if you will, and it just really resonated with both of us from just the musical rendition and the heartfelt, like, soulful lyrics that he was singing about. Yeah, and we just loved it, and so we did it. You know, love is gonna let you down. I think everybody can relate to that human feeling, especially like he was saying right now with everything that's going on in the air and the world and the climate. You know, with just everything and anything, I think people that resonates with just that human emotion that some people are feeling, especially at the time right now. But at the same time, on the other end of that, we know that love is healing and love is unifying, and music is very much a vehicle to make all that happen. So hopefully that resonates with this song as well, you know, and just keep that legacy moving, because that's what a lot of what Toots embodied in his music and his existence as an artist and his evolution as an artist, and just through the ages and through the eras.
Yeah, man. You know, I was watching a documentary about him, you know, last month or something, and one of the things that jumps out at me is just he's such a positive, optimistic person, and there were so many stories in his life where he was like, yeah, somebody told me I should write a song about this, so I did. And, you know, and just this, like, magic flows out, you know. It's like, you know, he's one of those people that truly had a gift, you know. It seems like he truly was.
He has.
What's that?
Got that thing that you, like, seeing him perform live, you know, I would, you know, it's a concert, but in my mind, I wanted to tell the people next to me to be quiet, because I was hanging on every word, every movement of his body. Where he held the microphone down at his chest is like, you're studying this guy. He's a magnet.
Yeah.
It just draws you in, and he just fed off that.
Yeah, and he was like channeling the muse. You know, he's just tapping into this higher thing and turning it into music in his own way that was such a reflection of his personality. Did you guys ever get a chance to share a bill with him, play a show with him?
No. Unfortunately not. That would have been definitely, like, I could say I played with a lot of the greats, you know. Expanders have backed a lot of the Jamaican icons, and that would have been one for the books for sure.
Yeah. What about seeing him in concert, not playing with him?
Yes, I've seen him a few times play.
Yes.
Where?
That was I think one was at Hollywood Bowl some years ago. You know, luckily I grew up with reggae in my house, so my parents would always be, you know, at a young age, were cool with letting us go to shows and stuff. So, you know, he was already up there in age by the time I was getting into reggae. So my parents let me go see him at a young age definitely was crucial to my reggae development.
And recently here too in town at Reggae on the Mountain also, he was out and in full force, and that was an incredible, magical moment in time for me to witness that set for sure.
Yeah.
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 I missed that one. Were we playing it that year?
I
guess that would have been a bill share. I don't remember what.
I don't remember.
Usually when we played Reggae on the Mountain, we were like driving 2 days straight from some other show.
But yeah, that was definitely a treat. Every time I've seen him, I've just been blown away for sure.
Definitely that Hollywood Bowl show I saw him at I was really blown away by his voice. He definitely knows how to sing properly, and his voice stayed with him throughout the years, which was definitely a cool thing to experience. That the power, you know. A lot of times you catch these older guys, and you know it's not a diss. They just are getting older. Their vocal cords can't hang. You know what I mean? Like, and Toots just always nailed it. Brought that same energy. And that's why I know he had it. He had that thing. He wasn't trying. He was just. It was him. It just flowed. That was his thing.
And that
holding the microphone away, you know,
just
5 feet from his mouth.
He did not try. It was literally this beautiful release of energy. It was really, really a great thing to witness as a fan, and even more so as a musician. That's like the goal. That's that place you want to tap into when you're on stage and sharing with people.
For me, for reggae, Toots was like the embodiment of like Isaac Hayes and James Brown.
Yeah,
for
straight
reggae.
up. That full commanded the stage. It was beautiful. From his band and from the audience. You felt part of the show. You were part of it.
I've heard him compared to like the James Brown of reggae. And, you know, like somebody else was telling me one time that, you know, Toots was like the biggest star ever to come from Jamaica, and would have become the biggest star if Bob Marley hadn't been there. And like, you know, not to overshadow Toots intentionally, of course, like Toots obviously went on to have such a huge impact. But yeah, I mean, he was like the most phenomenal performer, you know, and like after his, you know, the cameo on The Harder They Come, like all of a sudden everybody is just like, who is this? Look at, you know, like you couldn't see it and not feel it. It seemed like, you know, so I wish I didn't have the chance to see him live myself. I wish I could have. You
know what's crazy about that? When you just said that made me think of like the Bob Marley and all that statement. Imagine that's your lineup though. Look at like, dude, it's just all the Hall of Fame legends on it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, they're all number one.
Yeah.
There's no way. I mean, you know, certain things happen, so exposure happens. But if you want to talk like skill set and impact, every one of those groups back then were the leaders.
Yeah. Just unparalleled. Almost.
Yeah. You can't touch that. That does not happen in music again. I can't even tell you.
And I think speaking to Toots's impression that he made to reggae music, I mean, he was said to have coined the phrase reggae. So I just think just that in itself alone just speaks volumes.
Yeah, like almost accidentally,
right?
You know, like not even intending to. He wrote a song called "Do the Reggae," and it became the name of a whole genre that all of us have careers in now.
That's like, what I was saying. Like, he didn't try, man. This is him. It came out natural, and it changed the world, man.
Yeah.
Like, that was just him doing what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
It's like now, all these years later, and we're sitting in here talking about that.
Yep.
Huge.
Yep. Man. Wow. Well, you know, that we just been talking about one song so far, and we got another one, you know.
Yeah.
So you know, the next tune you guys recorded is called "It Must Be True Love." Originally recorded as the Maytals before they started going by Toots and the Maytals. Could one of you tell us a little bit about why you chose this song, and then we'll run it and come back and do this again?
Sure. I think it was just naturally a song. As far as the lyrical content of the song, it's a beautiful concept theme. It's talking about the first time that you saw somebody, the first impression you had, the first interaction, imagining, you know, I mean, I think again, that speaks to just the human experience that everybody or anybody can relate to. And then musically, it touched again on a place that hadn't been visited, if you will, frequently. And so we thought it might be cool to, you know, take a stab at it and do that stylistically, that song. And it was working out, and it worked out, hopefully. We liked it, and hopefully everybody else will like it too. And like I said, it's just a beautiful song, True Love. It's like the other end of the spectrum of Love Is Gonna Let You Down to True Love. It's just, it covers the both extremes, if you will.
Yeah. Well, let's run the tune. So that was It Must Be True Love, written by Toots Hibbert and performed by the Expanders. Butcher.
Yes, sir. When Asher was explaining some of the reasons why we chose the song, I wanted to touch on this as well, because it's something that I think we did well. Stylistically, True Love is something that we call in the Expanders camp we call it the push-pull feel. So what that means is that we don't know if it was done intentionally back then, but we like to look at it as a meshing of styles, a hybrids of, you know, these guys didn't really know what they weren't intending to do this one thing, but it came out this way. And it ended up being a feel in reggae that we like called push pull, where part of the band plays a swing feel and then the other part plays a straight feel, and you kind of feel it, that fight happening. It's like a push and a pull.
Attention.
It's a tension and release, exactly, which again fits in with the sentiment of all of this. You know, like love is beautiful, but there's always that, you know, you can't have the dark without the light. There's gonna be a little bit of this and that, give a little, take a little.
Or as beautiful as it is, you must let it go as much as you should embrace it and will embrace it. Letting it go is a part of the beauty as well.
Yes, and that is why I wanted to touch on that. It's not a, you know, we can play this and you can't, but it adds to the message of the song. It creates this tension and release within the rhythm that you might not even perceive right away, but it's part of the experience of the song. And it makes that overall message that, you know, true love is beautiful and it will win in that push and pull of life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, it's so interesting that you bring up that push and pull, and how this song kind of is a great example of that, because one of the things I was curious to ask you guys about is, like, one of the things we are collectively trying to do is help modern audiences understand that reggae music has a much, much deeper significance than beach vibes and good times. And no fault to anybody who doesn't understand that, but we hope more people can understand that. And that's part of the reason we're here having this conversation. And I think part of the reason you guys are a band and do what you do, you know? So I'm curious, like, when do you feel like you first began recognizing those deeper meanings of reggae music? Or has it been so much part of your life that it's just been it's just been part of it from the very beginning? Or was there ever a moment where the light bulb flipped off and you're like, oh my God, there's so much here that I didn't realize before?
Well, for me personally speaking, you know, I came from the skateboard, punk rock, hardcore scene from LA. And I really identified with that, like, counterculture, anti-authority, you know, like do it your way kind of thing. But I felt that the crowd of people that I was experiencing that with, it was very aggressive and rebel without a cause. And it's, you know, like I said, growing up with reggae in the home, when I started recognizing what they were actually singing about in this early 70s stuff, it's the most beautifully disguised counterculture, anti-authority. You know, it's masked in this beautiful rhythm and soul, and the melodies, you almost don't realize it, but it's more punk rock than punk rock. You know, these guys were getting shot and stabbed and all over the things they were saying back then. And that identified to me, not the violence, but that there was a way to present this message that was palatable to a much wider range of people, to get that message across, that this isn't right, that we need to stand up, that we need to do this, we need to do that. And even down to love songs. This is, you know, a time when there's chaos, you want to be reminded that something good is out there. And that's aggressive in and of itself. People get clowned for writing love songs. You know, people call you soft, you know what I mean? But it's the hardest thing you can do, is being honest with your feelings and
Horde.
You know what I mean? That definitely was the crossover for me.
Horde?
It was there. I just needed to find the right channel. You know what I'm saying?
Asher, tell me a little bit more about what you're saying there.
That he's Horde.
That is Horde. You know, no, really, I started realizing the element of how much of an impression or how much it has affected the world around me when I started coming out, like just going to a lot of other states and just touring a lot. I started seeing, like, I mean, because growing up in LA, you kind of see all different races and shades of people, like, you know what I mean, corralling around music, food, a lot of different things. But to see it outside of this state and all other states and see how reggae is permeating amongst like the newer generations and the up and coming generations, and how all these artists and the proteges and the chronics and the coffees and the rise roots and the movements and the expanders and the stupids and the revolutions, how all this music is just constantly growing with the stick figures and all these other bands, you know, it's really shown me how much of an impact this music, this movement, this brand has had and is having, you know, and it's just constantly growing. And so it's amazing. It's amazing to see it, and you know, it's really super cool to be representing via Toots, somebody who was one of the foundation pioneers of this movement.
Yeah, respect, man.
Reid, real quick. Can we switch to a different phone? We're like at 5% and keep this going, or just end it on this one?
We could switch. I think that we probably should wrap it up pretty soon, because we're at about 30 minutes now.
And do we want to mention anything about the charities, even though we don't have one set out yet? We'll do that with the other stuff. Okay, cool.
Okay, cool. Well, why don't we wrap it up here? I'll just kind of like talk us through an outro, and we'll say goodbye. Cool.
We do like a little like rest in peace Toots thing, or reggae and power.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's end with that. So we'll come back in at 3, 2, 1. All right, guys. Well, the legacy of Toots is something that I think we could continue on about for hours and hours and hours. And I can't thank you enough for being here and being leaders in this conversation and doing what you do to pay your respects to the artists who have come before us and helped shape the lives that we live every day now through their music. I know that you guys have a bunch more coming up, and I'm excited for the time that you're ready to share these new projects with everybody. Your own original music, more cover tunes, paying respects to artists. And I just want to say that I'm certainly no expert on these topics, and this is an educational experience for me, as I hope it is for everybody else who's watching. So again, thank you so much. And I know that we all agree that the most important thing is that we pay our respects to the late, great Toots Hibbert. So would either of you like to say anything to close us out here?
Yeah, respect to Toots and his family. May he rest in peace. May he reggae in power. May he keep sharing that energy with us from whatever's next. And just respect. If you want to catch us playing some of these Toots tunes, we're going to be doing a little drive-in show with Fortunate Youth September 25th. I'm sure there's a live stream available of it, but check that out. We'll continue to honor Toots in the way expanders know how, by sharing his music. Rest in peace.
Awesome. Respect. Guys, thank you so much. Love you. We'll talk to you again soon.
Love you, Reid.
All right. Peace.